video today, I'm going to walk you through the process of taking your transaction through Command and DocuSign and all the steps you need to know to get your contract signed and submitted for compliance. So first step is to go to your contacts in KW Command and enter in either both of your sellers or both of your buyers. So these are going to be my example people today, my pretend sellers, Ashley and Lance. So I've added them into Command, and the next step is to go to your Opportunities tab and create the opportunity. Alright, so what I'm going to do is hit this blue Create Opportunity button. I'm going to select the type. In this case it would be listing, but you have these other options here. And right here you need to select your client from your contacts. So I'm going to find Ashley. And Lance. Now when you're entering a listing into Command, it's important to add the address into the opportunity name. This helps you kind of manage your transactions, but also helps the office know what property this transaction is. So I'm going to just make up an address here. We're going to say 950 Main Street, Townsend, Mass. You can also put the seller names next to it if you'd like, if that helps you kind of figure out who's who. If you're working with a buyer, you can just leave it as, the buyer names dash buyer, and then once they go under contract on something, you can go in and update this name to contain the property. Custom tags are optional, but they're a way that you can tag your opportunities to sort them and pull them up later on. Same thing with close date. This is optional right now because we probably don't know when this is going to close if we're just listing it, so you can plug this in later on. Same thing with listing price. If we haven't met with these sellers, we don't know what the listing price is going to be. If we have an estimate, we can plug it in right now and update it later on, but I'm going to leave this blank for now. And you will see that commission rate does have a red star, so you do have to plug something in. So I'm just going to put that in for now, but you could update it later on if you'd like. You do have to place your opportunity into your pipeline somewhere. So first you have to pick the phase. That is going to be one of these bubbles that you see in the background. Cultivate, this would be kind of more for your leads for listings. You can plug those in. Maybe somebody's not ready to list their home for a few months, but they expressed interest to you in listing it. You could plug them into Cultivate and kind of watch any of your leads in there and hopefully bump them into appointment, active, under contract, closed. You'll see we have these 3 bubbles we can drop it into right away. So maybe this person or these sellers, I'm going to go on an appointment with them soon, so I'll say we are in this category here. You'll see these phases, you cannot change these. These are going to be the same in everybody's. However, the stages, you can customize these. So in this particular account, Deb's, we have some customized stages. So here's just an example of what you can do. So I'm just going to say we're in the listing presentation, sign documents part, and I'm going to hit create. So first thing I like to do if it is a listing is to enter the address in here because I definitely know that. I'm going to hit this little pencil and plug in the address. Alright, and you'll see you can update these dates and price and commission rate if you need to. At any point you can hit this little pencil and plug that information in and just click Save. So now to get the documents started, we're going to head over to our Documents tab. And the first thing I would suggest doing is on the left here, click Pick Checklist Type and select either Mass or New Hampshire to get your checklist of what you need to get signed and sent into the office. So first we have the listed stage. So this would be when you first meet with the seller and you get certain things signed, you pull the deed online, you pull the MLS sheet, you're going to plug this stuff in here and submit to MC. And then once you move into this under contract stage, you're going to have certain things that are signed by both the buyer and the seller. And you would upload those into here. Copies of checks, lead paint if it applies. You'll see you have little notes next to some of the documents that kind of help. They're little tips. And there's a bunch of optional stuff down here as well. And lastly, we have closed. So when your transaction closes, you get a copy of the closing document, either the closing disclosure, settlement statement, HUD, or ALTA. You would upload that into here, submit to MC, and you'll see little statuses next to each document if it's approved or returned or submitted, and each section would then also have a status next to it if it is fully approved or if it needs, any changes to be made. So these little line items here, these are not documents that you can open right now. They're just placeholders letting you know what you need. So now to get the documents prepared, we're going to go over here to Start a Transaction. And in this case, I actually have two programs to choose from, but typically when you click this button, it will just route you to DocuSign. So we're going to use that program today. So it brought me right into Deb's DocuSign account, and it created a room with the exact same name that it is in Command. So these two are basically linked. So anything that I get signed in this area, I can easily pull back into Command and submit it for compliance review. So to grab my forms, I'm going to click this blue Add button. I'm going to select DocuSign Forms. And you'll see you have libraries and groups. So libraries are kind of bigger folders of forms. All of the Massachusetts Association Realtor forms are in here. So maybe you need a particular form that's not in a group. You can probably find it in here. Same thing with the MLS folder. You have a lot of forms in there. New Hampshire, and then extra Keller Williams forms. So depending on the situation, you might have to look into the libraries to find a particular form, but we did make it easy for you by creating groups. So in this case, I would select my Massachusetts listing forms, and you'll see here are the forms that I'm typically going to use. So I need these two. These are absolutely required, and depending if it has lead paint, I could add that in. If I'm going to get this seller statement of property conditions signed, I can do that. That one is a little tricky to send through DocuSign. That one is a bit easier to print out and have the seller complete, because you would have to place the fields on for that. But just for today's example, we're going to select these two forms. And we're going to first click into each form at this point, and we're going to pre-fill out the forms because they will be editable right here. So I'm going to select seller's agent, designated seller. I'm going to add my seller names. Now at this point, I've done as much as I can as far as filling out the form right now, so I would hit save and close, because you'll see I cannot modify the signatures or the dates right now. That will come at the next step. So I'll pre-fill everything, click save and close, and I'm going to do that exact same thing to my other form. So I'm going to click this one, and I would go through and I would fill in, my form. I would check off bubbles, whatever applies, like this. Fill in my dates here. Keep going through and keep filling out all the rest of these editable items here. And some of it will pre-fill, but you have to kind of go through and check everything just to make sure it's all correct. Add in your additional terms if they apply. And then you'll see, once you come to the end, it's the same exact way as the other form. You cannot modify signatures or dates right now, but say I filled in the rest of the form, it's all ready. I'm going to click save and close, and then now we'll worry about the signatures and the dates. Alright, so say I'm going to get ready to send these, so I'm going to select this little checkbox on each form, and I'm going to hit this little pen icon. And the way I remember this is like the pen is we're putting the signatures on, and also like the envelope, we're putting these forms into an actual envelope and we're sending them off to our sellers to have them sign it. That's just my little trick to remembering it. I try to figure out easy ways and to remember certain steps in this process to help you guys. So now we're in our envelope. So you'll see envelope name. We can update this. So I will say initial listing docs 9 Street. Here are two forms. And now we need to add recipients. So I will select add recipient, and I'm going to use room participants for this example, but pre-tagged roles will it will place the signature blocks on the forms already, but the order that you send it may be a little different. So I'm going to show you just this way for today. And it pulls up everybody that's in the room. So sometimes you will appear here twice, but I like to select where you show up with your KW email. It may be both, so either one is fine that you select. I'm going to select both of my sellers and hit add selected. So now here is everybody, and this part is kind of important, so you'll see little numbers next to each person. And I always suggest setting you as the agent as number 1 and your clients both as 2. So you can do that just by changing it right here to 2. So it's 1, 2, 2. And that is, so it will send the form just to Deb first, and she'll be able to put her signature on first, so it will go to Ashley and Lance with her signature on it. But also it is a good way for double checking the form. If you happen to catch a mistake when it's just been sent to yourself, you can fix it. But if you send it to Ashley and Lance all at the same time and they sign it really quick, you see an error, unfortunately you can't change it at that point. Down here you can select, can go in here and say, listing documents, please sign. You could say hi. So that's just an example there. You don't have to do that, but I think it kind of gives it a nice little personal touch. Then we can click Next up at the top right. And we're going to scroll down to where we need signatures. So right here we need to add Deb's signature. So you'll see on my left side I am selected as Deb in this drop down and all the fields are yellow. So any of these that I pick and place over here will be assigned to Deb. And I also need to grab a date. So I could grab this date assigned field, place that over here. And I prefer to change the font for this. You don't have to do this, but just know that you can do it if you click formatting, and you can change it to maybe a narrow font. It makes it look a little cleaner when it's sent. So that is something that you can do. You don't have to do it. Now, if I want to add in Ashley's signatures, I can either go up here and click Ashley in the drop down and drop in signatures and dates like this. But a trick you can do is if you take your mouse and you drag a box over both of the fields, and I'm just going to hit copy and paste. And I just need to now change these to apply to Lance. So I would go over here to the right and switch the recipient to Lance Crosby, and that has been changed to purple. So you'll see that is going to be assigned to him. And that was a lot easier than going up here, finding him in the drop down, placing. Now I'm going to just keep scrolling to my next document to where I need the signatures, saying this is all filled out at that previous step. I need to place my seller signatures, my agent signatures here. So we'll select Lance first. And make this a little bigger. I like to place a date signed for each seller, even though it doesn't say date. It's just good to have because the signature, when they sign, it does not come with a timestamp. So this is just something to have just in case, I would suggest. So I can do this again, copy and paste, and change who the recipient is like that. And I could do the same thing with Deb. Put her signature here, then I just have to switch the date over here. Alright, so that is all I need to do at this point, is adding the signatures and dates. And I like to take one last look at it, make sure all the signatures are assigned to the right person and everything like that. Then we can just hit send. And since Deb is number 1 and we are in Deb's account, when we hit send, it will have her sign first. And you can do that right in your own DocuSign account. So right here you'll see needs my signature. I'm gonna click that, and then I'll click sign, and it hasn't sent yet to Ashley and Lance. It's waiting on Deb to sign first. So we can do that right now. You can hit start, and all you have to do is click to sign, and then you can just click finish. And as soon as you click this finish button, it will send to recipients 2. So it's going to send to Ashley and Lance at the exact same time. So I am going to now open my phone and just quickly sign as each seller. So give me 1 second. And you should get email notifications when they open the envelope to view it, as well as when they sign. almost done here. Alright, so we've just signed as both sellers, so I'm going to go back to my Documents tab, because when your forms are fully signed, they'll be available in your room, and sometimes it takes a second to load, but you'll see they will be added in here with little green icons. So I'll give that a couple seconds to load. Refresh again. Alright, there we go. So you'll see we will have our original editable form. That's what the blue icon means. So if we ever need to go back in and change something and resend it, we can do that. So that will be really helpful for maybe the contract to purchase. If you need to make an offer for a different property, you can go in, update the details, and resend that. So that kind of helps, and you'll have this green signed version. So if I click this, I can see that this form has been signed and the dates are on there as well. Now, a trick that you can do, I'll show you a couple different things. With this Actions button over here on the right, I can click that and I can add a folder. So I'm going to say Signed Documents. This is a way that you can kind of organize your room. So I'm going to select my green forms here and I'm going to hit Move right here. So I have to select destination, so I will select Folder. And there's my Signed Documents folder, and then I can just hit Move. And they are now in this little area. Also, what you could do is right-click on the form, and you get all of these different options. So what you could do in this case is maybe rename it, because it is a long name, and it only has -signed at the end. So, you could change this to Signed Agency Disclosure. And then you can say Ashley Clients. However you want to rename it. Whatever helps you kind of organize your documents. So I could do that to this one as well, but we're going to head back over into Command now, because we would now need to take these signed forms and place them into Command, and we'd have to gather other things as well and then submit to MC. But to add in those forms, what you're going to do is, you'll see right here it's Attach Files From, it's set to DocuSign, and I can select the folder. So I'm going to refresh it because I don't think it knows that I made it a Signed Documents folder. So I will select that folder. Now, with these little drop downs next to each form, I'm going to select the form that matches up to it. So there's my Signed Agency Disclosure, Ashley and Lance. I can select that. And then I would go back to this and I would hit my listing agreement. So you'll see the name is really long. That's kind of why I renamed this one. But that's one form right here, this whole thing. So I'm going to select that. And then at this point, I would, go get the deed, add that in. You could attach that from your computer if that's easier. You can just switch it up here to manual and drop a file right into this area, or click this browse button and it will allow you to select from your computer. Get the MLS sheet, add that in, and then once you've got everything in there, hit the Submit to MC button, and that is what will send it off for compliance review. And then you'd continue on and start adding things into under contract when you have them. So with copies of checks, if those are on your computer as PDFs, you can easily upload them like this. And if you did have them in DocuSign, you can just switch it right here and add those in. You do have to just select the folder where they are. And that is the whole process of the very beginning to sending it into compliance, and then afterwards you'd navigate over into this offers and commissions tab to fill out the offer details and the commission details to send that into the office so you can get paid. So I hope this video was helpful, and as always, if you have any questions, please reach out to me, and have a great day. Bye.